Hello and welcome to Doubles and Trebles. We're back again on the racing front, and the flat season is very much in full swing. The 2021 Guineas winners have been crowned. Royal Ascot is the next one in our sights. We've already locked our eyes on it. Tuesday the 15th till Saturday the 19th of June is the best week of the year according to Smido, and you won't catch me disagreeing with him in terms of the flat racing. We're taking an early look at all of the feature races, so there's 8 in total, and we're going to be pointing out what we think is the value in the anti-post markets. But first, Adam, give us a little bit about Royal Ascot generally. Great week.
Oh, easily the best week of the year in the British flat racing calendar, probably the best flat meeting in the whole world, particularly on prestige, not necessarily on prize money. Other countries have taken us over there, but the prestige for Royal Ascot is amazing, and it really is an international affair. Increased to 7 races per day last year during COVID. That was mainly because the racing calendar was all over the place. I think they missed the first 2 months of the season in 2020. But they've actually kept that amendment this year, so there's still 7 races every day this year. Most of the additional races have been handicapped, to be fair. For me, I'm not sure I quite agree with it. There's probably too much racing now, because too much to analyse and too much to bet on. I mean, I'm going to run out of hours in the day to be studying these races, to be fair. But yeah, definitely the best flat meeting of the year. And the Tuesday of Royal Ascot is easily my favourite single day of racing anywhere. 3 Group 1s that we're going to cover, plus the Coventry Stakes for 2-year-olds, which is a Group 2. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. Like you say, the Guineas winners are now in the bag. We're recording on the 5th of May. The Derby and the Oaks are just round the corner at the start of June. But usually, to be fair, the Derby and Oaks winners, or the first, second, third-ish, don't really tend to go to the Royal meeting. Yeah. It is only a couple of weeks after the Derby and the Oaks. So I think this is a perfect time to look forward to Royal Ascot. And the key with anti-post betting really is half the job is finding a horse that will run in the race that you're looking at. And as we're going to see, there's quite a few different horses out there with different options to go to. So we're going to try and nail down where I think they'll be going, and hopefully I'll be right when we get to the middle of June.
Yeah, before I go any further, I know that our 2,000 and 1,000 Guineas early looks were quite popular. I do keep your eye out, because as the day comes closer, the week comes closer, we will have some update videos. So if you're watching this and it's, this info might be a little bit dated by the time you get to watch it, then just check the description. We may well have an update for you, but definitely keep it to Doubles and Trebles. There'll be plenty on the way. Let's jump straight in then. There's 8 Group 1 races across this week, and the anti-post markets, as I say, already available at this early stage. So we have the official entries document that we're going to share with you throughout this video. So when we talk about a race, on the left of your screen, you're going to see the entries document and the horses that have an official entry for that particular race. And then on the right of the screen, we've just provided some little quirky stats for you. So last year's winner, the average winning SP, average amount of runners in the race, and just a little stat to go with each race. So hopefully you're getting a little bit of extra insight into the race while we're discussing it. So going to jump straight in, and there is no messing about. We're straight in with a Group 1, the Queen Anne Stakes over a straight mile for 4-year-olds and older. Talk to me.
I love this race, Pieman, and I think it's definitely the only meeting in the UK that starts bang with a Group 1. There's no other day that where the first race on any given day is a Grade 1, particularly on the flat. So yeah, Queen Anne is for like you say, for 4-year-olds plus over the straight mile. A race won by Frankel in 2012, which was officially the best single performance by any horse ever. He won this race by 12 lengths, I think, in 2012. So this race is often heavily influenced by the Lock-in Stakes, which takes place in about the 3rd Saturday in May. That's a race that Palace Pier, who is the top of this market at 7-4 at the moment, he's favourite for the Lock-in. He's about even money.
I'll tell you what, Adam, just before you go any further, I will just run through that market, because I do have it in front of me right now. And this is correct. As of the 5th of May, the Queen Anne Stakes, we have Palace Pier, as you say, in there, a 7-4 best price favourite. And then there really is a big leap in the market from there. Lopez E. Fernandez is 7-1, Order of Australia 8, Alpine Star 8, Love is 10. My Oberon is 12, and it's 14's bar. So you were saying about Palace Pier.
Yeah, rightful favourite. I wouldn't argue with it. I mean, it's not my idea of backing 7-4 shots anti-post, but he's a mile clear on official ratings compared to his UK and Irish rivals. Other than a horse called Love that we're going to mention many times, last year's Star Filly, she won the 1,000 Guineas, she won the Oaks, she won the Yorkshire Oaks as well. this is one of many options that she's got at Royal Ascot. But I can't see her running in a mile race to be honest with you. So
well, there is a quote of 10-1 for Love, but I guess that indicates that she's unlikely to turn up here.
Yeah, I would be surprised if she turned up in this race, but she's been left an entry and is priced accordingly. But yeah, there's quite a few in this market, Pieman, that would prefer softer ground. Alpine Star being one of them, and another Irish raider, and the Revenant, who beat Palace Pier handedly on Palace Pier's last appearance of 2020. But he's going to want softer ground. The Revenant, he's an Irish trained horse. Victor Ladorum would also fit that bill as well. So, although I'm not saying to back Palace Pier, but when you look at Lope Fernandez, I don't think he's going to stay a mile truly, and particularly. Ascot's it is reasonably flat. It's definitely not got the undulations of Newmarket, but it does take some getting. It is an uphill finish at Ascot, and don't be mistaken by what you see on TV. You have to really do stay to at Ascot to get up the rising ground towards the finish line. Order of Australia, if he turns up, would have a right chance. I think he won a Breeders' Cup race at like 50-1 at the back end of last year. We've not seen him yet this year. I don't think Love will win. I think Alpine Star needs soft ground. Lord North's in there, with some quoting at the moment. My Oberon, I think, is going to be tried over a longer distance. The Revenants, French trained and might not even come over at all, Pieman, to be honest. So, like I say, that the next four in the market behind Palace Pier are all trained in either by Aidan O'Brien or in Ireland, and you could say that only one of them will run, to be honest. The French horses might not travel because of COVID, so it's just a roundabout way of me saying that Palace Pier is solid as you like at 7-4. Could well be odds on the day if he wins the Lockings like he's expected to do. He could be odds on by the end of this month. One I would give a nod to at a much bigger price, Pieman, and it is a much bigger price, is one called Tilsit. A Juddmonte bred horse, so in those famous Frankel colours. He won a Newcastle maiden by 19 lengths, which I think is a record for the all-weather track at Newcastle. That was less than a year ago. And then for some crazy reason on his next start, he went off 10-1 at Goodwood, drifted massively on the day. Jubilee won that. It was a messy race, don't get me wrong. There was a long steward's inquiry that day, but Harry went off 10-1 that day. I think My Oberon was in behind him that day as well. Tilsit wasn't disgraced on his final start of 2020 in a very good Group 2 Joel Stakes at Newmarket, won by Kamiko. He'll have to improve a fair bit, to be honest, to be amongst it here, don't get me wrong, but I think he's very talented. Like I say, bred in the purple, as a lot of these Juddmonte horses are. He could be a horse to watch this season. He's 33-1. Now he's in the Lockings, Tilsit. He's from a similar family to Kingman, that also ran in these colours. Faster ground's going to be of liking to him. If he runs an half decent race in the Lockings, he could definitely shorten in price for this. And like I say, at the top of the market, there's question marks over who's going to turn up. So he might be the one to keep an eye on. I've not committed on a bet on Tilsit yet, but if he runs a decent race at Newbury in the Lockings, I'd be happy to back him for this.
I suppose the danger is if he runs a decent race at Newbury in the Lockings, the price will soon disappear. But certainly an interesting, a lively contender and the right kind of price for a lively outsider at 33-1. And generally in these markets, you're getting three places, a fifth at this stage. So you'd still be looking at around the 7-8-1 place mark for something like that. So definitely worth consideration. I'm going to move it on. I'm going to move us on to the King's Stand. Cracking another crack. I'm not going to say a cracking race because they're all cracking races, to be honest. But this is a cracking race. So this is for the out and out speed, the sprinters over 5 furlongs. The minimum distance is for 3-year-olds and over. And it's a race that I personally associate with Battash. When I think of just about out and out speed, I'm thinking about Battash, a fantastic horse who has provided many great moments over the year. And this market does kind of revolve around him. He is at the top of it, but maybe not as strong as a casual punter might expect. Battash in their 3-1 favourite. We have Glass Slip as a general 7-2. There is one place 4-1. Then we have Oxted 11-2. Extravagant Kid, bit of blue for him at 10-1. Starman also 10-1. Kea Moro is 12. Maven is 12. And then we're going down. We've actually got a lot at 12, including Equilateral, Liberty Beach. Dragon Symbol is one that's being backed. And I could go on. It's 16's bar from there. Came from the dark also there at 14. But yeah, a very interesting market, Adam. Battash, and do you fancy anything outside of the front 3 or 4?
Yeah, possibly. We'll get to that. I'm going to start on Batash first because it must be said that at this moment he's recovering from an injury, and he is, in the most recent update from Connections, is touch and go whether he makes the Royal meeting itself. Now, clearly they'll be doing everything they can to get there. He won this race last year. He's been a massive player in the UK sprint scene for 3 or 4 years. Dominated it last year. Has not particularly dominated it in previous years, but has done a couple of wins along the way. But 3 outings in 2020 and 3 very impressive wins, one of them being in this race. But, you know, he's top price at 3-1 now, Pieman. Batash went off 5-6 for this race last year. He actually went off odds on in all 3 of his appearances last year. That 3-1 could be a massive hindsight job, but it is a big if, in capital letters, if he turns up, because he's not guaranteed to turn up. And that at the moment is factored into his price. If there's, you know, if we get some noises from his training team saying that, you know, he's looking on course for Royal Ascot, that 3-1 will disappear very, very quickly. The Palace House Stakes on 2,000 guineas, they usually has a big bearing on this race, but this year's winner, Lazuli, isn't even entered in the King's Stand, unfortunately. So the unlucky loser on that day in the Palace House was a horse called Came From the Dark, massive improver this year, and would have a big chance for Ed Walker and Holly Doyle. He's already put up 2 career best efforts this year alone. He's 16-1. I mean, I wouldn't put you off that. I think even today there was an at the races update from Ed Walker, the trainer, saying that, you know, he would be on course to be appearing in this race. Equilateral, another one worth mentioning. He was second behind Batash in this race last year, which was a career best effort at the time, and he had a very fruitful time of it in Meydan over the winter with 2 decent wins. Question marks over the Meydan form as always, but they were in good fields. So yeah, with Batash, not a certain runner, Equilateral and Came From the Dark would be of interest at this stage. I would probably side, if I had to at the moment, Pieman, with Equilateral at 12-1.
Yeah, Equilateral then the pick at this stage, but it does seem to be a market that will hinge on Batash, and it may well be a case that you're watching this at a point where we have a more solid idea of what Batash's intentions are, and, you know, the market will have changed accordingly. But this is our early look, of course, and a bit of each way value put up for you there. So certainly something for everybody in that regard. Okay, let's move it on then. St James's Palace Stake. This is 1 mile, and this is not a straight mile. This is factoring in the bend as well. So an important one to mention there, I think, and that's for 3-year-olds only, this race. So another interesting market, and I know you've got a few opinions on this one, Adam. I'm just going to pull the market up for you there. At the moment, we've got Poetic Flair, obviously a horse that we've talked about very recently at the top of the betting at 4-1. Master of the Season at 9-2. Lucky Vega 7, St Mark Basilica 12s, One Ruler 14, Mostadar 14. Apologies for the pronunciation there. Wembley 16, Thunder Moon 16, Maximal 16 with La Barossa at its 20s bar. Well, a lot of familiar names here. So where are we going?
Well, the Guineas, the 2,000 Guineas, 1, 2, 3, top the market in the order that they finished in the 2,000 Guineas. Poetic Flair beat Master of the Seas, beat Lucky Vega. And to be fair, at this stage, they all 3 of them look set to turn up. Although Jim Bolger is sometimes rather unique in the way he campaigns horses. Very definitely not of detriment to his success, but Poetic Flair could take a scenic route to this race, possibly. But yeah, the 2,000 Guineas itself was obviously a very close finish between those 3 horses. A lot of people, it might be a popular opinion, you know, said by many, but Master of the Seas may well have been the best horse in that race. You know, he had his chance fair and square. He went odds on him running, and there'll be, you know, it'll be very popular. You know, if that race was happening today, I think I could see Master of the Seas going off favourite, to be fair. But there's a fair bit to happen between now and the race. We still don't know the reason why Dewhurst winner St Mark's Basilica did not run in the Guineas, and we spoke about the 2,000 Guineas often, Pieman, and we was talking about St Mark's Basilica as being a certain runner and a certain contender. We don't know why he didn't run. Was there a problem? I'm not sure. His stablemate Wembley and Battleground finished 11th and 13th in the 2,000 Guineas, so that didn't go particularly well for the O'Brien camp. I'll be tempted to chance my arm on St Mark's at 12-1 now, particularly when we've seen his stablemates underperform over a mile. You know, they might be, he's entered in this race, they might be thinking he could be the one for that. So hopefully he turns up fully fit, and he would have a chance to prove how good he is, really. Like I say, won the Dewhurst, and you know that's usually the best That's usually the best juvenile race for 2-year-olds. But he's a possible Irish Guineas contender as well. So that is a bit of caution anti-post there. If turning up on the day, I'd be interested a little bit on Chindit and Mutasabek, because I thought that both of them in the Guineas, they both ran in the Guineas, and I thought they both did very little wrong. There was an obvious bias on Guineas Day in both on the 2000 and 1000 day. They put the stalls in the centre of the track. They've been artificially watering all week, and it paid to be the far side. Last time we spoke about the Craven meeting at Newmarket, you wanted to be near side. So there's different biases showing up at different times, depending on the weather and whether they've artificially watered or the water's come out of the sky. So, the likes of Chindit and Mutasabek on that day, both travelled well and both ran nice races in their own right against very good opposition. They was on the near side, which was unfavourable, and I'm going to come on later to the near side anti-bias at Newmarket with another one of my selections. So yeah, they would both interest me if they were to turn up. Chindit doesn't like the Newmarket track. I think that's quite simple to say, really, and he made smooth progress late on when he came out the dip. And Mutasabek, that was just on his third start, travelled really well, to be honest. Before I thought he was tamely ridden when his chance was gone. They're 16 and 25 to 1 respectively. I think we could expect a lot of changes in this market, and it'll look a lot different on the day than it does now. So, am I committing to one? Probably not, but I'm just highlighting a couple that might have a chance of running a big race if they turn up.
Well, I can tell you now, there's already a bit of a move for Chindit on Odds Checker. A couple of places have taken the cut on him today, so a couple of people like your thinking. Mutasabek still in there at 25, but certainly some value selections there. And I like the angle on St Mark's Basilica as well. It could well be that we haven't seen the best of the O'Brien hand in this particular area, shall we say, because definitely disappointing performances from the other two. And it's very rare that Aidan O'Brien is kept down for long, in my experience. But we'll move it on again. We're going to move straight on to the Prince of Wales Stakes. Now, this is the run on the Wednesday, ran over 1 mile, 2 furlongs, and it's for 4-year-olds and over. Now, Aidan O'Brien has a lot of entries in this race, and he has a good record in this race, I believe, as well. So let's just run through the betting. We've got Lord North in there, 9-4 favourite. Love, is this a more likely destination for a 10-3? And then it's quite a big leap up to the rest of the market, and it's a lot of different opinions, it's fair to say, in different books, I would think. But yeah, generally we're 10-1 and bigger the rest, including Adabe at 10, Palace Pier at 10, unlikely to run in this race, you would suggest. Morgul, funny horse, in there at 12. Amori in there at 12. In Swoop and Alpine Star also 12. Japan 14. Broome 14. And then it's 16 and bigger the rest. This is a funny old market, Adam.
Yeah, it is, and this is the first race that we've covered so far, Pieman, that I've actually committed and had a bet on with my own hard-earned cash, and I've backed Armory at 12-1. Could be the dark horse for Ballydoyle this year. 7 of his last 8 starts have been in Group 1s. Usually he's been second or third choice, to be honest, of the O'Brien yard. He hasn't won any of them at the top level, but second and thirds behind the likes of Pinatubu, Victor Ladorum, Siskin, Magical. That's not bad form. That's not bad form. Regardless of how far you might have finished behind them and what price you were in the betting, that is not bad form. He's entered, as always, with the O'Brien runners. He's entered in a hatful of the top races in the coming weeks. So you are playing a bit of what I call O'Brien bingo. But 12-1 at this stage, particularly in comparison to his stablemates. Mogul's there at 12-1. I wouldn't back Mogul if I found money on the floor tomorrow morning, Pieman. He's recently gone over to Meydan, got walloped. He's been over to France last weekend on Guineas weekend, got walloped, and he was favourite. So I wouldn't back him. I think Love could end up anywhere. This is already the second time we've mentioned her. Could end up anywhere. Could also not race at Royal Ascot at all, because she is a leading contender in the Coronation Stakes, which takes place at Derby weekend, which is only a couple of weeks before Ascot. Adabe wants soft ground. Now, it could end up soft ground, but it's unlikely in the middle of June. Palace Pier will be running over a mile. That he shouldn't even be quoted in this market, if you ask me. So, and then we're looking at the likes of Japan, another O'Brien horse, a Group 1 winner in his own right. But this week, after we've recorded this time, and probably people will be watching it, he's rated it. He's racing in Chester this week over an extended mile and 5 furlongs. So it would be unlikely that a 10 furlong race at Royal Ascot would be the destination for Japan. Serpentine, the shock winner of the Derby last year, I think he'll be campaigned over further as well. Broome would be a contender for O'Brien. He's already won 2 races this season, to be fair, not quite at the top level. So yeah, I'm looking at Armory. Like I say, I think he could be the dark horse this year. If things land right for him. But as you say, Pyman, O'Brien's got 7 of the 23 entries, and history tells us he'll have 1 or 2 on the day. So it is a bit of a guessing game.
I was going to say, do you think it's this race is most likely?
Armory, yes, I do. Yeah. So Armory ran in the Irish Champion Stakes last year. That was over 10 furlongs. Brilliant race. 2 of the best horses in the world were first and second in Gayeth and Magical. They've both now retired. Armory was third. He was the third choice in the betting that day in terms of the O'Brien runners. And like I said, I just think he's a bit of a dark horse. He's not got the flashy profile. He's not been winning Group 1s. But, they've kept him in training as a 4-year-old, and I think they mean business with him this year. If he turns up in a race like the Tattersalls Gold Cup, which Aidan often wins nearly every year in Ireland, that's over 10 furlong. And depending on who performs well there and who he's entered there for the O'Brien, might give a bit of a clue to who might turn up in this race itself. Lord North's at the top of the market, can't be ignored. Pyman won this race last year. It was an 11-2 shot. It was
short enough this time though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a 5-1 shot last year. But to be honest, he looked as good as ever when winning a real good race, a Group 1 at Meydan at the end of March. He's 6-4 for this. Like I say, it was 5-1 on the day this year. I think, to be fair, he could well go off bigger than 6-1. So on the day, because 6-4, sorry, is 9-4. 9-4. I think he could go off bigger than 9-4 on the day at Royal Ascot, given that we're unlikely to see him between now and then. O'Brien might have a headliner in there, and challenging him at the top of the market. But yeah, like I say, Armory is the first horse that we spoke about today that I have backed with my money at 12-1.
There you go then, Armory at a double figure price, the first solid selection from Adam there. Lord North is at the top of that market, 9-4, but just given the sheer nature of this market, it's going to be one that has changed a hell of a lot by the time we next talk about it, I feel. I'm going to move it on. The Ascot Gold Cup. Now, I'm expecting this race isn't going to take as long to cover as the other races. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I've pretty much got no interest in these stay-in races. As you know, these long-distance flat races don't interest me, to be honest. There's not enough of them. I think they're a little bit boring, and that in the last 4 years, I think we could say, have pretty much been dominated by a horse called Stradivarius. Now, I mean, I don't want to downplay Stradivarius' talent. He's a very, very good horse. Very good horse. He's got a turn of foot like you wouldn't normally see in these stay-in races. But he raced at Ascot a couple of weeks ago, just before we recorded this, Pyman, and he looked brilliant, to be honest. Like I say, it was a Group 3 at Ascot, which is the Sagaro Stakes, is a known trial for the Gold Cup. A race that Stradivarius had not ran in before. I was quite surprised, but yeah, he just he'll be beating similar horses. There's no one really to challenge him. He's already won this race 3 times, so he's 7-4 to make it a remarkable 4 Ascot Gold Cups in a row. He was 4-5 last year and even money the year before. So you could argue that the 7-4 that's available now, could well look value on the day. Again, I am not advising to back 7-4 shots anti-post, but it could be a lot shorter on the day for obvious reasons. I think his next race is going to be at York in the second week in May. So if he wins that, his price might come in again, but he certainly wouldn't be for me. 4-year-old Subjectivist is 6-1 second favourite in the market. He's kind of the new kid on the block, Pyman. 4-year-old could be the biggest threat to Stradivarius. But as well as Subjectivist, who recently won a race at Meydan, easy as you like, on Meydan World Cup night. Trained by Mark Johnston. He's also got Sir Ron Priestley that Doubles and Trebles viewers will be possibly be fond of after I put him up
on our weekend.
Yep. He was impressive that day, to be honest, Pyman. He's 2 from 2 this year. He missed the whole of 2020 for injury. He's certainly back. He's definitely still got the talent. He's probably back to his best. He's less proven over an extreme trip, and this is an extreme trip, 2.5 miles. 2 miles, you'll see races over 2 miles regular, but 2.5 miles, not many in the calendar. But yeah, alongside Subjectivist, these are the ones that could provide the main challenge to Stradivarius, because this year, unlike other years, it doesn't look like O'Brien has got a really chief cup horse. These are normally referred to as cup horses, the guys that run over the longer distances. Tiger Moth is entered, he's a possibility. Santiago, an Irish Derby winner, and he's all right, also a possibility, but no real standout from O'Brien this year. And in other years gone by, usually there is one to challenge or be dominating the market itself.
Well, I've got to say, 2 Mile 4 on a Thursday. I'm thinking about the Ryanair Chase at Cheltenham on the march, to be honest. I mean, it's certainly stands out as a unique event, and I'm sure. I think it's been a race. It's fair to say that has benefited from having a superstar like Stradivarius in it. There's a bit of a buzz around seeing Stradivarius. Is he going to do it?
And the Frankie factor.
Exactly, and that, when he got the hat trick, that was a great moment. In no one there to see it, but fantastic. And yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't be a race for me to get too involved in, but there we are. All right, then moving it on to the Friday, and it's the Commonwealth Cup we're going to look at first. And this is a bit of a messy market, to put it lightly, but such is the web we weave. We're still going to try and take you through it. So just to summarise, the Commonwealth Cup ran over 6 furlongs, and it's for 3-year-olds exclusively. A very interesting race for anti-post punters if you can work out what's going to go. Just to run you through it. Got Campanelle, a general 4 and 5 shot, but there is a bit of 7 about. Then we've got Golden Pal, only quoted in 2 markets at 11s. We've got Alcohol Free there at 12. We've got Dandala there at 12. Lucky Vega at 12. Dragon Symbol at 12. Thunder Moon would need to be supplemented according to this odds checker page in front of me is 14. Supremacy 14. And then it's kind of 16s bar. There is very little to go on at this stage. So please solve this puzzle for me.
Well, I've not been banned from using this word yet, Pieman, so I'm going to call it a cracker, and it really is. This race was first introduced in 2015 as a brand new race at Group 1, and it was to give what they was finding at the time was 3-year-olds. They had mile races to go for in their 3-year-old campaign, but there wasn't really, for 3-year-old sprinters, out-and-out sprinters, there wasn't really a mid-season aim for them to go for unless they was to go in with the big boys. And what you was finding is the more experienced horses at sprint trips really do have an advantage. So this has been a great addition to the calendar. And what you'll find is often is horses are tried over a mile in the Guineas, and then if they don't quite stay, then they'll drop back down to this. You've mentioned in the market there the likes of Lucky Vega and Alcohol Free. Both have recently ran in Guineas, might not have stayed the trip truly, and are quoted to potentially drop down here into this 6 furlong event. But I would say about them 2 horses, I can't see them running here. So if you can get your finger on which horses are going to run, there's definitely value to be had, because Campanelle is the fav at this stage, having won a Royal Ascot race last year in the Queen Mary for American trainer Wesley Ward, who often comes over to this meeting. But I'm always happy to oppose these American hotshots, to be honest, because they usually prefer very quick ground, which is likely but can't be guaranteed. And then we've got the COVID restrictions still looming, and the travel restrictions. And what you'll often find with these Wesley Ward horses is that they are monstrous 2-year-olds. And when I'm saying what I mean, literally a lot bigger size-wise than the rest of them. They're just bred differently and they're trained differently. And sometimes when they come over...
Lady Aurelia, one that springs to mind.
Lady Aurelia. There was also one called Acapulco that, honestly, Pieman, I was there that year, and Acapulco looked twice the size of some of the horses in the parade ring. You would hardly believe it, and she duly went and won very easily. But when they come back as 3 and 4 and beyond, the UK and European counterparts seem to have caught them up in their development, if you see what I mean. So happy to take on Campanelle for them reasons given. I think Alcohol Free ran a perfectly nice race in the 1,000 guineas, but maybe didn't stay, maybe did. Got caught on the wing a bit, to be honest, and she would be interesting if coming back to 6 furlongs, and it's a race we're going to come to next, actually. I don't think she'll run in this race. I think she'll run in the Coronation Cup. Lucky Vega, I don't think will run in this race, so that's 3 of the top 4 in the market currently quoted. I don't know why Golden Pal's even quoted in this race, because he's not even entered. That's a mistake on Oddschecker, unfortunately. Dragon Symbol, one you mentioned, certainly wouldn't argue with him, Pieman. He's won 4 times this year already in the space of eight weeks. He made his debut 8 weeks ago, has won that, and then won another 3 times since. He ran a really nice race, an impressive race in and beating some good yardsticks at Hamilton on Guineas weekend. He's 12-1 and likely to run. I wouldn't put anyone off back in Dragon Symbol at this stage. Supremacy probably turned a year being favourite for this race, won a Group 1 as a juvenile, so will clearly be a leading player on that form, but he was last of 8 on his return at Ascot just last week in the Pavilion Stakes, which is a known trial for this. That was disappointing, but Clive Cox knows how to train a winner of this kind of race, so, if you've got faith in Supremacy coming back to his best, 14-1, it might be a lot shorter than that on the day, but not for me. He was very, very bad on his reappearance, to be honest. But talking to Clive Cox, he's also got Diligent Harry on here as well, Pie Man. He's won 3 of his 4 career starts all this year, so a late developer, wasn't seen as a 2-year-old, similar to Dragon Symbol, really. So in the early part of the year, when in January, February, when there's no flat racing on the turf available, you have to race on the all-weather. Some people, including me, turn the nose up at the all-weather form, but these 2 have clearly shown it. And he turned up on all-weather Champions Day at Easter weekend at Lingfield, won very easily. He's a definite player. Diligent Harry, I think he's in the region of 12-1. 16, you can get Diligent Harry. Again, I won't put anyone off that, but at this stage, I'd be more than happy to back Dragon Symbol, like I say, particularly with the question marks over the participation of most of them at the top of the market.
Yeah, definitely looks like a race where working out who's actually going to run in it as a solid chance is a good way to go at this stage, and it's one that's going to change rapidly as we get news coming out from different yards, I think. But that's the Commonwealth Cup boxed off. 6 down, 2 to go for you. We're going to move it on to the Coronation Stakes. Now, I'm very interested to see where Adam goes in this one. I've got a slight inkling that some people will be watching and going, but there we are. So the Coronation Stakes, it's quite similar to the St. James's Palace Stakes, really, but this is for the females, and this is a mile round the bend, not a straight mile, and it is exclusively for 3-year-old female horses. So go on then, where are we going?
There's got to be value here, Pine Man. There's got to be value, and the reason for that is a horse called Santa Barbara. Talked a lot about her in the 1,000 guineas. She ran 4th, which was perfectly respectable on her second start. But I'm quite confident that Santa Barbara will not be running in this race, and she is a 5-1 second favourite. I think she's more likely to go for the Oaks. Similar comments would apply to the 4th favourite in this market, which is Saffron Beach. I think they're going to try her over further, and definitely the 7th in the market, which is currently Snow Lantern. She's definitely going to be tried over further than this. This is a mile. She's going to run in a 10 furlong race at York next week. So those 3, the 3 of the top 7 in the market are unlikely to run in this race for me. So there must be value. Mother Earth is the rightful favourite, having won the 1,000 guineas, put up on this channel at 10-1. She's 7-2 to win this. Could definitely fit the MO of the O'Brien team. 1,000 guineas winner at Newmarket, possibly an Irish 1,000 guineas winner at the Curragh, then come over to the Coronation Stakes. She could well win this race with no problem. But I've got the biggest U-turn so far on Doubles and Trebles, Pie Man, because I have backed already, and I'm going to advise backing a horse called Alcohol Free for this 1 mile race at 14-1. Now,
well, I mean, what do you want me to say? This is a horse that you've been frequently against all the way through our Guineas build-up. You told me that it wouldn't stay. You told me that you wouldn't be interested in it. You wouldn't touch it. I mean, it's been a very quick change of heart.
Yeah, well, I said that Alcohol Free would not win the 1,000 guineas, and on that occasion, Pie Man, I was right. And to be honest, I was sitting there on Sunday. Alcohol Free went off 5-2 joint favourite for the 1,000 guineas, and I'm sitting there thinking, there must be people out there that know quite a lot more than me that fancy this horse to stay. Did she stay? She didn't get far off. So the Newmarket, like as I've said many times, the undulations of Newmarket is quite a lot different to the flatter track, but with a stiff finish at Ascot. But she's gone off 5-2 and has ran a perfectly good race. She got caught out on a wing a little bit, Pie Man. So
she did.
They came down the middle of the track, and Alcohol Free was the one closest to the stand side. We've already said earlier in this video that on Guineas weekend, unbeknownst to us beforehand, but on Guineas weekend there was an established bias as far away from the stands as you could get. So if you were drawn and raced stand side, like Alcohol Free did, like Chindit did, who we mentioned earlier, you were disadvantaged. And I think that's so that turned out for Alcohol Free. The first 4 to finish, Saffron Beach has done well from stall 10, don't get me wrong. But the first 4 to finish were drawn 2, 10, 4 and 1. So the 2, 4 and 1 filled the first 3 places. So, that's signalling that you were better off drawn on the far side. Alcohol Free was drawn on the near side. She was drawn in stall 11 of 11, so she was the closest to the unfavoured part of the track. Like I say, I thought she ran a perfectly good race, Pyman, for someone that would have been deliberately ridden by Oisin Murphy to make sure she got the mile. So there was, because there was definite question marks from me and from many others that people thought Alcohol Free wouldn't stay the mile. Now I think that, and they've said straight away about coming to the Coronation Stakes, it will be easier to get the mile on the round track at Ascot. You come round a bend, so obviously, like any car or human or horse, would go slower round a bend. So they're going to have more time to keep some petrol in the gas tank and then go for it up the straight. So yeah, it's a big U-turn from me, Palman, but she's 14 to 1. I've already signalled to you many horses above her in the market that won't be running. The connections have said straight away that this will be the target. I can see her going straight there, not running again, and she's already ran twice this year. She's ran at Newbury and Newmarket. I can see her having a rest for 2 or 3 weeks. And Andrew Baldwin and Oisin Murphy turning up at Royal Ascot on the Friday and having a right chance in this race. I mean, you've only got to think that she's finished 2 lengths behind Mother Earth. She's finished 5th. The 5th might not jump out of you on the page, but she's only finished 2 lengths behind the winner of a classic from an unfavourable part of the track. There's good horses in front of her as well. There's some good horses behind her. It's a U-turn, but I'm unbiased. I've got no loyalty in this game. I change my opinions from what my eyes see on the track, and that's what I've seen from Alcohol Free.
Well, initially I was sceptical, but I'll never berate anyone for making a U-turn if they've seen something to change their mind. I think it's absolutely huge, and a lot of people are just too set in their ways and too sold down the river on their own opinions to say that they might have made an error, and you've recognised it. We forgive you, and we're hoping that this is a value winner, 14 to 1 available. And
I have backed to Pan, man. My money's on.
There you go. So I mean, money where your mouth
money
is.
Where my mouth is, yeah.
So yeah. Well, that's 7 races down, and we're on our last race of this preview. And that is on to Saturday for the Diamond Jubilee Stakes. Now, this is run over 6 furlongs, and it's for 4-year-olds and over. This is a race which, attracts a lot of international runners, and that's kind of be interested to see if that's the case this year, because obviously we have COVID travel restrictions potentially playing a part. Let's have a quick look at the market before I hand you over to Adam. Dream of Dreams is in there, an 11 to 2 clear fav, and that 11 to 2 is only in one place as well, so quite a strong favourite at this stage. Art Power in at 9, then we're into the double figure realms with Starman at 10, Glass Slippers at 10, Extravagant Kid at 10, Glen Shield 11, Royal Commando and Nahara 14, along with Lancaster House and Kadeem, and then it's 16's Bar. So where are you looking on this one, Adam?
Well, Dream of Dreams can count himself incredibly unlucky not to have won this race previously in his life, because in the last 2 years he's finished a head second behind Hello Youmzain last year, and then behind Blue Point the year before. I actually backed him that year. It was agonising, but Blue Point, one of the best sprinters we've seen this decade, certainly, if not century. So yeah, he's rightly the 11 to 2 favourite at this stage, but it is quite an open market, probably the most open market we've come to other than the Commonwealth Cup of the Group 1s. So yeah, he's right up there. There is a couple of American runners in there as well. Extravagant Kid, I don't follow the American form, but he's anywhere between 5 and 10 to 1 currently on Odds Checker. So, there's a difference of opinion there. Yeah, unlike the King Stand, this gets less of my attention for some reason. I've just never really got on with the race, probably because I've not really ever backed a winner. That normally sways your opinion, doesn't it? But yeah, Royal Commando is one that I'm looking at, Pyman. A sprinter going places, if you ask me, for Charlie Ewells, who knows how to train a good sprinter, obviously. 4-year-old, started the season with a good listed win at Doncaster on Lincoln Day. He had Emiratiana in second that day. He's gone on to place in the Palace House Stakes, could have won on a different day. He had Summergand in behind that day in the listed race at Doncaster. Summergand has won twice since, so that the form is there and it's already been franked. Royal Commando, he'll have to run well again between now and Royal Ascot to justify his participation in this Group 1. I mean, he is only a listed winner at this stage, but he could well go to a race at Haydock or potentially a Clipper Logistics race at York. So that could, well prove how good he is and still improving. He actually finished 4th over course and distance in the Commonwealth Cup last year, and he was 250 to 1, believe it or not. That was kind of out of nowhere. He's 14 to 1 at the moment. I have backed him. But of the three that I've backed, Armory, Alcohol Free, and Royal Commando, I think Royal Commando would be the least confident because I think really I would have preferred a bigger price. But I have backed him at this stage because I think he's probably going to turn up at ADOC and win again, and all roads will lead to the Diamond Jubilee Stakes.
Well, nice one. Another value selection for you there. Royal Commando to round things off, 14-1 in the Diamond Jubilee Stakes. Another open market, as many of them are at this stage. And it's important to point out that by the time you're watching this, I've said this already, these markets could have changed quite a lot. And do keep an eye out in the description. We might have an updated video for you by the time that you come to this. We really appreciate all the feedback, and people seem to really enjoy our early looks at the Guineas. Please do bear in mind that things change quickly and our opinions could look very dated. We even had Adam going on about Pretty Gorgeous for 3 months before it was non-runnered, just moments before the race, well, days before. So, anything can happen. It can be carnage, but we're having a good go to get things out early for you. If you enjoyed it, if you have any fancies yourself, please do let us know in the comments. If you're enjoying our racing content, please do give us a subscribe. It helps us continue to do it and build a nice audience and community, and do give us a thumbs up on the like. We'll be back very soon with another update, but until then, take care and we'll see you again soon.